Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and today I am once again joined by Matt from Mostly Average Matt. And Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to see another park.
Yes, and for those of you that don't know, Matt has a really good YouTube channel as well, where he is building this amazing challenge park right now. Which this creator we're looking at today loves doing challenge parks as well. This one's not a challenge park, but he really excels at those, kind of like you do. Um, And so, yeah, I'm really excited to look at this. But this was actually created for the 2022 Mini Park Contest, and it's created by Dippin' Dods. And the quick description says, "Welcome to Mountainside Escape, a German park on a mountainside." Great description, right? The park is best at 11 a.m., but the night lighting is great. Everything is heavily detailed. Check all areas for surprises. Take the Easter egg hunt and search for fellow YouTubers and clues on the outside wall by the spawn point. Enjoy the park tour. I hope you leave happy. And then he says, dot, 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 Tall Guy Gaming. So Dippin' Dots recently started a YouTube channel. And his name's Tall Guy Gaming. And as you can see from this stuff, like his level of detail is really impressive. So what are your initial thoughts as we get going?
Yeah, I love the carousel there, and I always tend to build a carousel at the beginning of all my parks, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always cool to see how people use the feature to rotate pieces around it to get that perfect circle, and that looked really
Agreed.
cool.
Agreed. And by the way, just so you know, next time I build a carousel, I've got I think it's like episode 6 or 7, like locked in my brain for like, okay, I'm gonna go check that out and use that as my reference point. Because you built a really good kind of carousel ride skin that looks different than how a lot of people do it because you used a lot
Yeah,
of basic shape. Excuse me, a lot of basic shapes, but it looks really good.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So here we have the entrance, and one thing that I love about like kind of the floral stuff that he does in this park is like he doesn't overdo it, but it looks just enough, if that makes sense. Like leave some kind of grassy green areas, um, and yeah, it looks really good. And then we got some park maps there, so nice having that little park map stand.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the hardest thing to do is to not overdo the vegetation. It's
Hmm.
easy to just go in there and spam bushes and trees and flowers and all that, but how often do you see that in a park?
Right. Well, and I think part of it too is like because of how Planet Coaster is compared to like Planet Zoo, it's not 3D with like the blades of grass and stuff, right? So I
Mm,
know me sometimes just seeing the grass, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look as great. And it's like, but I think sometimes we overthink when we build something, right? Like, oh, people are
yeah.
going to think this. Oh,
That's awesome.
yeah. So he does a lot of those little things in the park. So you always got to go inside his buildings because he'll put something in there. I think sometimes it's one of those we overthink our builds, right? Like, oh, is
Mm,
this foliage going to look natural? Whereas most people think it would, right? So
yeah.
then we end up doing more and more, like you said. Um,
And then next thing you know, you have so much there that it again doesn't look natural.
yeah.
But he did a really good job with the balance between overdoing it and underdoing it.
Well, then how about this interior? But it's like, look at the angle of the walls. Like, that's not easy to do.
No, not without. And this is a console park.
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, in-game pieces to do an interior like both of these. That's amazing. And then a perfectly placed crane game to
Yes.
boot.
Absolutely. So he always does interiors, and that's something that I haven't really gotten around to too much yet, just because I'm like, just it's kind of daunting.
Yeah.
and um, and like you said, we don't have TMTK, so like we got to use in-game pieces and make it look realistic. But this just looks so good, and so that's his new park he's working on now, called Serenity Now. Which, Matt, I recommend checking it out if you ever have any time, because he does like storylines to it. Um,
That's
so like
awesome.
we'll see my character in a second, but he had in his first park for Jasmine and I, he created M and J's lawn care, and basically had the storyline where I was too busy going and recording coasters that I caused like the truck to like break down or something, and so Jasmine fired me from the company. So now it's like I'm a coaster contractor or coaster developer, and so like he's created all these story backlines, and it's just so much fun to like I see that part. But how about the realism back here?
Oh, this is great. Realism is having the backstage areas to a park. They just take it up a notch for the realism of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there's Jasmine's lawn care. Truck broken down. And so with Tommy CM, who's another console YouTuber, it's funny because um, from like one of the first ever park tours he did, he talked about how he hates that like um, that mascot, the cow.
Oh, Cosmic Cow.
Yeah, and so now everybody's always like naming the cosmic cow like Tommy CM or like referencing it. So that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But,
That's a great looking building though. The detail
yeah, it's so
in front
good.
of that.
Yes, like
And functionality. It's great.
it's like the detail he uses is just so good that I'm like, I'm not creative enough to be able to design a building with that level of detail that like represents a country that I'm not from or used to, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I'm the same way. Anytime I build something, I have to have a reference picture, and even then, sometimes it doesn't come out the way I want it.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I think one reason too why I'm drawn to like your builds and stuff too is that it's kind of like a modern style or kind of like you'd see generic at a theme park a lot. Um,
Yeah,
And I mean, you do buildings here and there that are different than that, right? But I think in general,
yeah,
neither of us do a whole park that's built around this single architectural style. So it just makes it that much more impressive, in my opinion.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, most of my builds, I like the generic theme for whatever reason, because that's what you see in most or most amusement parks, not
Yeah.
theme parks.
Well, and I mean, most American theme parks, right?
Yeah,
Unless you go to like a Universal or Disney, but we really can't do a lot of that in the game because of no TMTK with how insane
yeah.
stuff they have. It says, "Are you ready for the tallest mountain coaster with speeds of 40 miles per hour?" No, then get off, then get out of the line, you big baby. So just adding the little fence right there is just another cool touch, and adding the vending machine, even though guests can't use it, that's still another
Yeah.
little piece of realism that just adds to it.
Yeah, I wish they would make it so that you could add that in queue. And it is, oh my gosh, this station is awesome.
Yeah, it's insane. And then like, how about all the scenery pieces that he's got on the other side?
Yeah.
Just
I'm trying to pick out what all the different pieces are that are in here, and there's some that I'm just not recognizing but I think they're the icing pieces.
the icing pieces, yeah. Now I think I show this afterwards, but look at that. That looks like a smiling face. I hope I show footage of that again. But I love here how the cameras are like flashing, like those screens, almost like it's going to a different camera on the ride.
Yeah.
I think that's just a really, really cool touch.
Yeah, that's really a creative way to do it.
All right, so this is a smaller wooden coaster, and we'll talk to you after the coaster. All right, so do you see the kind of smiley face I was talking about there?
Yeah. It's almost like it's an evil smile.
Yeah, it's almost like,
awesome.
yeah, like what'd you get yourself into?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really cool. And I was talking to you while I was on the ride, and obviously it's a different coaster type, but knowing how much this creator and his wife, like Disney and stuff like that, I think mostly Disney World, but it kind of gives me Matterhorn vibes, just of it going in and out of the mountain and stuff.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, the mountain itself kind of resembles it, but then having the coaster go through and be sunk into the ground, I think it definitely resembles it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, that station is so majestic. And then, I mean, the view too from down here, which this is actually me apparently recording the coaster going up the thing. And so this is little stuff like I just love seeing because you got that fiberglass panel that he just covered or colored because you think about like TMTK, that's basically
Yeah.
making one of the TMTK cabinets, right? And so it's trying to do what we can to accommodate for that kind of stuff still.
Yeah.
And I was getting good footage of the coaster going up the lift hill. So
Yeah, I think that forklift that was back there too is really, really good looking.
yeah,
I like Jasmine's van on smoking. I don't remember seeing that earlier when we went by there.
and he has the license plate on the back of that is for sure because apparently my catchphrase, which actually I guess it is when I'm doing park tours with somebody else, I'll say for sure a lot. Yeah, and I think all these forklifts and stuff he's made custom. So he's actually started like his own line, and he call it like I forget the first name of it, but it'd be like something 3000, something 4000, and so he's putting all this stuff up on the workshop now, and so I'll definitely need to put some of that stuff in my park because I'm gonna be honest, that's too tedious to remake when somebody
Yep.
else has already done it better, you know?
Yeah, and they look like they're part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look like they're art shapes or anything like that.
Yeah, and then now since we're out of flip cam mode for a second, I wanted to kind of get a overall view of it, and I wanted to click on these people and see if they're named differently. And I hate how it does that sometimes. I wonder if it does that on PC when you like click on something that like zooms you out. But I guess it's because the scenery group's probably a little bit larger, and so it's zooming you out to like the middle point of the scenery group.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I haven't noticed it, but every now and then, I mean, the camera does go crazy
yeah.
on PC too.
I like the name of that alligator, Detective Bitey.
Makes me think of Happy Gilmore.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just. Sorry, go ahead.
This is a nice little restroom added there. It kind of fits into the theme really nicely.
Yeah.
Little backstage area.
Well, and I think what he does so well is he just uses so many different building pieces, right? Like you've got the normal brick wall, but then you've got like the concrete column, and then you've got those little almost like triangular things up there, and then you've got the castle wall base. So it's just like adding all these little things together that make it stand out. Just really impressive and awesome custom sign right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this game's all about taking pieces that were meant for one thing and making it something different.
Yeah.
And he definitely did a really good job with that.
I do wonder sometimes, like the developers of this game, like what did they realistically kind of expect people to make, right? Like, are they just like constantly blown away with the ways people found to use certain pieces, and they're like, "Oh, we never thought of that," you know? I just kind of.
Oh yeah. I'm definitely sure that they're amazed. I know, like early on, I think one of the most useful pieces was like the snowman's pipe, where you could use that for anything. You could make a handle out of it. You could just literally throw it into anything to make it just appear to fit into whatever you needed. And that was the big piece that everyone used.
You know what irks my nerves though, that I realized, because I was trying for the longest time to figure out, like watching some of No Name Landia and Mass Bandit and stuff, like what they did for some of their realism pieces with like lights in the station and stuff, and they used that snowman's pipe. We don't have that on console.
Yep. Oh, you don't have the snowman's pipe on console?
Yeah, I think because it's a smoking pipe, I think they took it out of the game. I think I looked up something about that, but yeah, that's one of the few pieces from the PC version that didn't get ported over to console.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, that would change the entire game.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts of this kind of beautiful kind of garden ride that we're looking at right now?
it's a nice little addition to the park. Every good park has a ride like this where it just kind of like meanders around and kind of fits in. Obviously, this is the ride itself is the people mover from Disney, but to incorporate it to just kind of go around and see all the flowers, and I think it's done really nicely.
Yeah, I agree. And I like this last little turnaround part, and just the views you get is really nice. And I love the tunnels that come with that kind of transport ride. Obviously the Disney
Hmm.
style tunnels, but I just think they look really good.
Yeah, and they fit in. He colored them really, really well to fit in to the rest of the park.
Yeah, like that little view right there, which I regret now that I didn't zoom in on that spire on that other building, but I think that's custom. Um, so I wish I would have
Hmm.
zoomed in more on this, but we even have a little bit of a transfer track for for the transport ride.
Yeah,
Thinking about everything.
it looks really well done now.
Hmm.
I like the little garden tour sign there too. Just enough vegetation, but not too much.
Yeah, looks really good. And one thing I've started doing a lot that he does here is using that kind of brown grass that you get with the deciduous one,
Hmm.
um, and it makes it look like mulch. And we don't have the TMTK mulch or anything like that. So I think that does a good job of masking the grass to make it look like it's actual mulch.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if this is on console, but
Mm-hmm. Yep.
the coconut piece. That's a big piece. It's a little too large in some instances,
Right.
but that fits really well for mulch.
It is. Just sometimes we got to preserve piece count. That can kind of add up if you're doing a big area. So this is his
Yeah.
YouTube channel. He says he needs subs. I changed it to he thinks he needs subs. So, um, but no, seriously, go subscribe to Tall Guy Gaming. I mean, you can see the level of detail in this park, and this was his second park he's ever made, which is what's really impressive to me.
Yeah.
My
To
second
have
park was terrible.
that much deal. For a second park, I mean, it took me years to start to detail things out. So this is pretty awesome.
And there's Jasmine. There's my wife cutting the flowers or trimming the flowers. Um, yeah, I agree. It's like looking back my first few parks and looking now, I'm like, ooh. Even looking at my park from like 6 months ago. um, but that's a good thing, right? Because it means we're getting better. You
Yeah.
know?
Yep.
And one thing he does an amazing job of, and I mean, I'm sure you know all about this, right? Doing challenge parks, is he's really big on like always putting some kind of like retail store or food place right at the
Hmm.
exit of a major ride. Not having really more than one or two food places in a small spot because you don't want them competing for each other for
Yep.
money, right? So, but he'll do a lot of things to still make it look realistic. But instead of them having three stalls, there might just be one food stall. Um,
Yeah.
just because he is playing in challenge mode. Now this one's not in challenge mode, but his newest park is, and once again, amazing level of detail.
Same thing with the cameras where they flicker,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome.
Yeah, and just a little thing like all the ropes just adds so much detail to it.
Yeah.
And we can chat through this one. It's just a little mine train coaster. Just the foliage, just everything about this is so well done.
Yeah, I really like the tower. Conforming to terrain is always interesting because it's sometimes it's really hard to do, especially on a compact layout.
Mm-hmm.
The way this is going in and out of the ground. Wow, that was really quick. Oh, it's a multi-loop. That's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like you normally don't see multi-loops for mine trains, but like you said, it's a very compact area. And that's one thing that Dippin' Dots or Tall Guy Gaming or Harry, his name's Harry, that Harry's good at is really, like you said, forming the terrain to it. It's like how it is right here. It just looks so perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea. It's a short ride, but to go through the circuit twice.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice. You don't see too many people build rides like that.
Yeah, and then there are a couple areas where he actually put fencing around the side of it because there's like a hill off to the other side. Just everything's been thought of. Just really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so out of the two coasters, as you know, there's only two coasters in this park. So which of the two did you enjoy more? Whether just from a pure enjoyment standpoint, or actually, you know what, we'll talk about that in a second because I forgot about this other backstage area, which I'm trying to find like the entrance to it. And I'm like, oh, forget it. We'll just go through walls.
Yeah, just go right through it.
Um,
That's the classic Planet Coaster way to find something.
Yeah, so he's got the transfer track in here, and I can't remember if I click on somebody, but I think it's like he named them all like slacking off or some kind of funny name, like meaning like they're not working. I love that idea of having the video or like the TV on the wall with wires going to it to like with one of the sequencers. But that backstage area looks a lot like kind of what Silverette did in his Jaegerhorn a few years back.
Yeah, no, this is really done well. You got the bollards there to protect the buildings and whatnot. Obviously, having everyone working, that's awesome.
Yeah. Now I'll go back to what I was asking you before about which coaster you enjoyed the most.
I kind of like the wooden coaster, the one that resembled Matterhorn. I think both of them are really good, but I like the way that the wooden coaster really interacted with the entire mountain and how it kind of blends in to the park as a whole.
Yeah,
becomes a sight line for it.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're both really good, but I do think I love how the mine train was so compact. But like kind of like you said, that one blended into the mountain. The mine train blended in so well to the environment. I mean, let's be real, they're both amazing. So
yeah, they are.
So now we got about a minute left as we just kind of take a look at this overall park at night. And what are your thoughts on this park?
Yeah, I think it's really well done. All really creative use of a lot of the in-game pieces to add that realistic effect. Obviously, backstage areas are awesome to add some more realism on. I think it's just done really well.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm all about the realism just because I like how it brings the park together. Because ultimately we play this to kind of, now everybody plays it differently, but I like trying to create stuff that seems like it could be in real life, and this to me really kind of fits that mold. And as you look here, he had this little statue that says it's a statue of Dippin' Dawes, because without him the park wouldn't exist. Yeah,
that's great.
That's great. All right, well, thank you so much, Matt, for joining me. This was a lot of fun, and make sure to go check out his channel, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. See you.